I am a creative determined to survive the AI revolution. I'm learning about AI and you can too. Welcome to the first video in our series on how to set up your own personal AI workstation with free open source software. This is for fellow tech-savvy Windows users who know your way around a computer but who are not too familiar with coding or even where to begin with AI. As a musician, I want to survive this AI revolution, and I'm sure you do too. By the end of the series, you will know how to generate your own customized music, art, text locally on your computer, privately and offline. In particular, it is important to know how to manually install multiple open source creative tools on the same system. And some of this software is so cutting edge, it's actually still in development, so can only be found on websites like GitHub. For example, you might see something like this with your installation instructions that require more than just a click of the button. And even if you figure out how to install the software, you might cause other previously installed programs to crash due to something called dependency conflicts. But more on that later. Just know that we have got you covered. We're diving into the wild world of generative AI, covering hardware to software. It will definitely be a deep dive into getting your own personal AI workstation up and running, managing multiple open source software, and reducing your chances of things going haywire. Alright, so what to expect? Well, we are mostly sticking to Windows, but some open source AI tools might require Linux, and if so, we will use Windows Subsystem for Linux, or known as WSL2 if needed. You will have to use command prompt, yes, you will be typing in commands, but don't sweat it, I will walk you through it. And there will be a learning curve. Open source software is always evolving, so even with step-by-step tutorials, you will hit some bumps. Tutorials you watch today, maybe even this one, might be outdated by the time you get to it, so expect some trial and error. And also, open source AI gives you unlimited access, and you'll need it, because AI is all about trial and error. Most of the time, AI will not spit out exactly what you want on the first try, so you'll need to learn how to prompt, tweak, and refine. So why not practice in a space where you can do so as much as you want without any limits? Troubleshooting. There's no way around it, but learning how to troubleshoot is also part of the deal. You can copy, paste error codes, Google them, ask ChatGPT. You might also document everything, such as dates, activities, and steps. For example, I like to keep a running log of what I installed and when, so I can track down any issues later. So let's kick things off by breaking down some common AI lingo, then dive into the hardware you will need to build your very own AI muscle station. So some common terminology. For anyone who does not know what open source software refers to, that refers to free publicly available programs for anyone to install and use. When we refer to generative AI, we're referring to an AI system that combines both software and models, which whip up content like images, videos, music, or text. So that's important to know because when we go ahead and install our AI software, you will need definitely both software and model. So what is an AI model? Sometimes it's referred to as a base, pre-trained, or checkpoint model. This is actually the brain of your AI, and the model has been trained on vast data sets, learning patterns so when it's time to create, it can predict and generate content that fits those patterns. Now, what are some popular open source AI software? Well, you might have heard of Stable Diffusion, or its go-to user interface called Automatic 1111 for creating images and videos. Now, its cooler, more advanced cousin is known as Comfy UI, and a lot of users who started out with Automatic 1111 have made the leap to using Comfy UI, which has got a really cool, flexible node-to-node workflow that's a step up and a bit more advanced. Now, if you're using Comfy UI, you definitely will need the Comfy UI Nodes Manager, which is basically your essential sidekick to organizing all your custom nodes. Now, a word about models. Whether you're using Stable Diffusion or using Comfy UI, you will have to be ready to download a bunch of models, including base models, control models, VAE models, and custom models, depending on your creative goals. And that would take up a lot of storage space, and you'll have to have enough VRAM to even get those models to load. Now, in terms of text generation, there are things like Anything LLM, there is GPT-4 All, There's something called Ollama, and there's models that you've probably heard of like Llama 3.1. So I haven't yet dipped my toes in here yet, but it's definitely on the radar. Basically, the idea is to use popular open source LLMs, which are large language models, to build a private ChatGPT that you can run locally, where you can interact with your own data and documents. For music generation, there is something called AudioCraft. Now, there are other popular open source software, which you probably have heard of, and if you already have them installed on your machine, you can look for AI add-ons. So some of these include Blender, DaVinci Resolve, and Audacity. I definitely know that with Audacity, there are AI add-ons that can seriously speed up your workflow. So where do we find open source AI software and models online? Well, if you go to GitHub, that is the place to find a lot of open source software. It's basically a developer's playground, like a giant sandbox where coders come together to collaborate and experiment and create new projects. If you're looking for open source AI models, then you go to Hugging Face. Think of it as a marketplace for AI brains. And there are also other places such as civitai.com where you can find custom models for Stable Diffusion and Comfy UI. Now, before you dive headfirst into downloading every shiny new AI tool, a word of caution: viruses. Yep, even in the open source world, there are some baddies. So how do you avoid them? Well, it's not always clear-cut, but here are a few pointers. It's always a good idea to check the source. For example, who posted this GitHub repository? Is it legit? For example, in this one, it says Facebook Research. So we take a look and we find that it's been verified. So chances are this is probably a good source. Stars matter. So if you go over here, you can actually take a look on the right side of the screen, and you can see that there are a number of stars. And usually the more stars, the better. You can search for clues about maintenance. Ask yourself, is the repository, also known as repo, is that actively maintained and updated? If you see that the repo is, from 10 years ago, then perhaps it's not a really good project to even download and install on your machine. But if it's regularly maintained and updated, then that's usually a good sign. Now, this doesn't mean that active and recent repositories are always malware-free. In fact, some bad actors do keep them updated to seem legit. So there's no real way of completely telling that a repository is completely legit unless you can check the code. So you will have to use your best judgment in this situation. And just for added safety, what I would suggest, especially if you're new at this, is to keep your confidential or financial activities on a separate device from your AI workstation. That way, if the worst happens and your AI computer gets infected, your sensitive data will not be exposed. So, word about licenses and permissions. If you're planning to go pro with your AI creations, do keep an eye out on licenses, because some open source AI tools are strictly non-commercial and for research educational purposes only, while others give you the green light to sell your generations. For example, if we were to take a look at Comfy UI, you can go to their GitHub page and find their licensing information over here. And remember, because you're using software in conjunction with models, whatever AI model that you're using with Comfy UI, you should definitely go and check the model licensing information as well. And if you were to use something like a custom model such as Dreamshaper, well, again, you want to go to the website where you found the model, in this case, Civit AI, and you can go and look on this icon here where you can see the permissions. And if you click over here, you will find the license. All right, that's it for now. Up next is all about hardware, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Until next time.